My experience with fermented high meat. For anyone who didn't know, there's a type of meat preparation called high meat in which meat is left to rot in the sun, then eaten. Some leave it for a year. Why? Without any additives, wrongly done, the process can be dangerous. They scrape the mold off? I gotta see a video. Oh! High meat, eating fermented liver with my son. Dr. Boz? They're calling it the death steak that caused people to get paralyzed?
A woman returns home feeling drained from a long day of work, so she sits down at her kitchen table filled with anticipation. She reaches across the table to a jar. Its contents swish and turn as she pulls it towards her. She sticks a fork into the floating blue-gray mass at the bottom, piercing a chunk and lifting it out of the swirling slough to deposit the wet, rancid nugget on her tongue.
What is even the argument? Like, let's break down what they're doing here. What if we just let the meat get absolutely rotten and then eat it? Have these people not played like Ark? It's been so documented. You don't eat the spoiled meat. It making you sick, bro.
A foul, putrid smell radiates through the room. She takes another slimy covered cube of rotten meat into her mouth. The jar was on top of her fridge for the last half year, so she expected the taste, but she never thought.
Why? 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 Why, though?
It would feel so good? Okay, but why are people eating raw meat they've left out in jars for months at a time? Why? Trigger warning, here comes the meat. As the name suggests, it's being eaten because the internet heard it could get them high. Some consumers.
Wait, that's why they're doing it? We got to introduce these people to, like, drugs. Are they aware we got this shit, like, figured out? Name a positive feeling you want to experience. We got something for it. What are we doing
feelings
here?
of euphoria and hallucinations after slurping down diced chunks of decaying meat.
Yeah, I started hallucinating when I ate rotting meat. I bet. I bet.
They also claim that the bacterial growth is beneficial to their gut microbiomes.
These people know that yogurt.
Aren't we, like, evolutionarily developed to be afraid of rotten meat to keep us safe? Like, that's why mold to most people is repulsive. That's why things like this, you feel icked out from looking at it, because that's generations of what previous humans discovered.
Gasoline than eating this shit.
Tempeh.
Yeah, wasn't cooking food like a huge breakthrough for, like, primitive versions of humans? Like, oh shit, this shit better.
That's right.
Probably, but
That
there's
looks
more to
good.
this unfortunate
Little overcooked.
fetid flesh fetish. Just so we can get an idea of what the dangers of eating raw or rotten meat are, these are just a few of the many meat-borne illnesses that have plagued.
How do you look at this list that's still ongoing and go, nah, they're probably wrong. I want to get high.
humanity for thousands of years.
Oh, goody. This'll be fun.
Or Wubby.
After eating an old can of corned beef, a young man feels a sudden loss of feeling in his face. His eyelids droop, his breath becomes more labored, and he can no longer form words. His stomach cramps, and he cannot stop vomiting. And slowly, he feels himself losing the ability to feel his hands or feet. Later, in the hospital, he loses all feeling, and his breathing groans to a complete stop. That's botulism.
Fuck that forever. I'm never eating again. That's not true, but fuck that.
You can avoid it by fully cooking or boiling your food.
We got this.
Refrigerating any foods that use garlic or herbs. Never eating any food that smells off. Sorry, folks, just had to make that clear. A teenage girl, after a day spent enjoying homemade hamburgers with her family, wakes up in the middle of the night with a growing urgency in her bowels. She runs to the bathroom, but to no avail. Her father is already there. There's blood in the toilet, he shouts in agony, so she runs upstairs to the other bathroom. But her mother is trapped inside, either vomiting or simply retching. Her brother beckons her over to the kitchen sink, which he is currently bent over in pain. I won't look, he says, as she weighs her options. That's E. coli.
Yeah.
This bacteria dies at temperature upward of 70 degrees, so properly washing, prepping, cooking, and refrigerating your food is the best method of household prevention.
I have known personally people who are this smart to know about all this and are still very hand wavy about foodborne illnesses. What changed my life forever was I had to take a class for like food handling, and that one class scared me permanently when it comes to prepping food. Now, granted, well, Wubby, you ate a burger off the ground. Okay, yeah, I ate a burger off the ground. That's different than like fucking around with botulism and E. coli. Also, I found that disgusting. I did it for the content. But that being said, like, there is a difference.
An older gentleman wakes up one morning fatigued and nauseated. He staggers to the bathroom, flicking on the light, which makes his eyes ache. His eyes, staring back at him from the mirror, are swollen, and the rest of his face is so tender he can barely touch it. He goes to the hospital, barely holding in his bowels on the way. An X-ray shows eggs in his cranial cavity. The doctor tells him that they're pressing up against his brain, causing inflammation. That's what happens if you eat trichinella worms from undercooked pork, which, hey, we talked about before here. Cook all meat to an internal temperature of 60 degrees and freeze any pork for a minimum of 3 weeks to kill any worms. Also, remember that smoking, curing, and pickling do not kill parasites. Also, don't eat any meat that has bacterial growth. There's also Listeria, Salmonella, Staphylococcus, Campylobacter,
People
Shigella,
are so
Streptococcus.
fucking wild. 6-month-old rotten meat. Yum. Give me more shit in a bag. I'll happily sniff it and trip fucking balls. Raw milk right out of poopy cow tits. I will pay so fucking much. We are all so close to getting so massively sick from getting served a bad goddamn burger at McDonald's.
Anthrax, and that's just some of the bad bacteria that can grow on tainted food.
That is not true.
Not
You
to mention
cannot
the
kill
countless
botulism by boiling it or cooking it. Botulism is one of the worst neurotoxins known to mankind. If you encounter canned food that is inflated or has a dent near the lid, put it into 2 bags and outside in the trash can. Absolutely do not open it. Botulism does not give you food poisoning. It literally paralyzes you.
How do I not get it?
more parasites and fungal growths.
Practicing proper food safety makes food safer. Who knew?
The point is that, yes, there are good bacteria, but there are
I love my good bacteria. They got my fucking back, bro.
just as many, if not more, bad bacteria that might give you stomach cramps, some that can just straight up paralyze you. Methods to make high meat vary significantly, but recipes, and I use the word recipes loosely, do have.
How do these people hear about this shit and continue to eat? I've heard the cope of, well, it hasn't happened to me. There are too many educated human beings on
I'm
this
cooking
planet.
my meat in bleach from now on. What the
There are too many educated, like, formally educated, like college educated humans on this earth who still live their life with well, it hasn't happened to me, so I don't need to worry about it mentality. What did I hear that? I don't know if it was a TikTok or a video I saw of some, maybe in a channel 5 video or whatever. Someone who's like, I've never washed my hands. It's like, what? It's like, I've been fine. I'm good. It's like, why do you think I've been fine is scientific evidence? Why? Like, I don't wash my hands. It's part of, like the Liver King as a whole. You know what I mean? Like, it works for me. Why is that? How is that the bar? It works for you, bro?
Some similarities. One is that they're all wildly dangerous. Just to be very, very clear, high meat is incredibly unsafe to eat. A YouTuber who demonstrates making high meat starts with an undisclosed meat, cuts it into little pieces, and then puts it in glass jars. After that, he just shuts the jars and leaves them out. He doesn't even put it into the fridge. After an indeterminate period of time, he takes a jar full of the mixture to show us the process, gagging as he opens it because it smells so bad.
Huh. Who knew rotten meat would smell bad? Learn something new every day.
Oh my God.
Then he just eats a sludgy chunk of whatever meat he left in there.
I just can't understand why anyone would want that.
These recipes have next to no consideration for basic food safety. Not only is raw meat difficult to keep clean in the first place, the only mention of how one avoids illness in most of these methods is to buy from a trusted butcher, which does not guarantee safety.
Well, how would a trusted butcher have any say on how the meat rots?
Lots of high meat proponents argue that fermentation is no different than what they are doing.
But that's not true.
That letting a bunch of meat cutlets decompose in a jar is the same as, say, making cheese or baking bread, which is not true. Curating the microbial life we desire in a product like cheese, pickles, or kimchi requires very specific conditions, ensuring that it not only tastes good, but is also
Stock footage, black woman eating pickle in kitchen. Stock footage, kimchi, metal bowl.
safe to eat. One of these methods is fermentation, the process of cellular respiration without oxygen. It even happens inside our own bodies.
Wubby, you
Our
said should look
cells
up
use
Misa
oxygen
friend
to help-
MRE Steve 1989.
I love
He suggests
my
raw
sis.
dog's life and
Yeah.
avoids the bomb at botulism.
Yeah, I love Steve R. I was watching that. I'm an OG fan. We'll say that. Love Steve. He's so main now, but is that a nipple piercing?
convert nutrients like carbs into energy. But when
Never mind, it was a
oxygen
carb.
is unavailable, lactic acid is
Never mind.
produced as a byproduct of that process.
Oh yeah, my yoga teacher told me that lactic acid is what makes your muscles sore after you work out.
We purposefully ferment food, and what the end product is depends on the addition of specific bacterial cultures. There are 3 basic types of fermentation. Lactic acid fermentation, which uses bacteria like lactobacillus to convert sugars into lactic acid, resulting in foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, pickles, yogurt, and sourdough.
Damn,
Ethyl
good
alcohol
job,
fermentation,
bacteria.
which uses yeast like Saccharomyces cerevisiae to break down sugars into alcohol and carbon dioxide, resulting in alcoholic beverages.
Hey, that's our boy, dude.
Acetic acid fermentation, which uses bacteria like Gluconobacter to convert sugars into acetic acid, resulting in vinegar instead of alcohol. It's the difference between apple cider and apple cider vinegar.
Boo.
Fermentation in food production requires specific conditions
Buzzkill.
that are strictly monitored. Yogurt is made by first heating up milk
I
to
love-
a temperature of 185.
When I was
love how-
14, I got a minor case of
I'll read it out loud, but I'm talking. I love how some dude who chops up a steak, puts it in a fucking jar above his fridge for 6 months, thinks he's this guy. Climate controlled, clean, like machinery. This dude's in a lab coat. Everything in here is monitored. They even have to test shit. Millions of dollars on the line for everything to go right. And this guy's like, well, if they do it, I could chop up a pork chop and put it above my fridge for a month. Now I'm going to read your TTS, my friend. This is from Flaming Stealth Banana. He said, when I was 14, I got a minor case of botulism. From Boston Market, I was nearly hospitalized. I couldn't eat more than half a baked potato for 6 months. My stomach was fucked up for nearly 10 years until I found out about probiotics. Wow. So what you're saying is this could be a weight loss thing.
degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes to kill off any spoilage
I mean, to be fair, botulism is like I'm never doing anything Boston Market related ever. I'm never going to Boston, in fact.
organisms. Bacteria that turns milk sour. Then it's cooled to 108 degrees Fahrenheit, where the good bacteria we want can grow. Whereupon adding lactobacillus will start the fermentation process.
Yeah, I don't think making yogurt is just leaving milk somewhere.
My point exactly.
Okay, this time I got a real question. What's the difference between high meat and dry-aged steak? They're both just leaving meat somewheres, right?
A dry
Okay, this feels like a peak of Mount Stupid question, doesn't it? Like it's like a gotcha if you're uneducated.
aged steak is kept in a dry aging room with tight controls on temperature and humidity to draw moisture out of the meat. The meat's natural enzymes break down the connective tissue, making it more tender, but it also creates an environment hostile to putrefying bacteria. If the temperature or the humidity is off by
There you
a
go.
fraction of a degree, it could throw off the entire process. And
So it's like, so to answer the question simply, it's completely different.
end up with a bunch of rotten meat.
As someone who likes cooking, I can tell you that should be the end of the line.
Curing is somewhat similar to the dry aging process, except that moisture isn't drawn out of the meat by a dehumidifier, but by a boatload of dry salt or
That's what the boys did back in the day, right? That's how we kept meat for a while. You could do that in Ark too. Everything comes back to Ark, doesn't
or a
it?
salt brine. Bad bacterial growth is inhibited
just
by
kills
salt, quickly making the meat a hostile environment to microorganisms that spoil meat.
So wait,
I wonder who figured that out, right? That's kind of a risk. Some rich dude back in the day threw some steak into a salt thing and the meat came out black and he goes, Oh, wait, the person who figured out is in chat. That's crazy. Jonathan Salt.
is high meat fermented?
The short answer is no. The long answer is no. The longer answer is fermented meats are made using specific bacterial cultures after sterilizing
How do
the
people not understand this? That's so different.
product beforehand with salt, heat, or chemicals. Fermentation, dry aging, and curing are all methods of controlled aging, whereas high meat is rampant decomposition.
It's just fucking meat in a jar. What are we doing?
It's the difference between landing a plane and crashing. Many high meat advocates argue that indigenous cultures have been fermenting food for thousands of years.
I don't give a fuck.
Botox is botulism being injected into your face. That's what the procedure. They inject the bacteria into your face and it paralyzes your face to reduce wrinkles.
Yeah, I did know that. Why is citing ancient civs ever like in people's minds a slam dunk about anything? This might make me the most ignorant, hateful person on planet Earth.
Meat advocates argue that
this argument, I don't know if it's ever convinced me of anything ever. Do you know what I mean? Like even if they did something in ancient civilizations that we still do, I'm not like, oh, that's good. That's why we do it. I go, I'm glad we figured out it's the proper way to do things. What does it matter to me?
and crashing. Many high meat advocates argue that indigenous cultures have been fermenting food for thousands of years.
Who cares?
And they're absolutely right. Kasumarzu, a Sardinian sheep cheese passed through the guts of live maggots. Kivyak, Inuit-style fermented little auk birds stored in a seal skin over the winter.
Sorry,
And century
my
egg.
bad. It's not the bacteria, they inject the toxin. It's still self-inflicted botulism.
I'll think about that next time I get my Botox.
Eggs, Chinese duck eggs pickled in a salt clay mix are all examples of culturally significant aged foods.
The century egg is
The problem
nasty.
is people aren't taking the time to understand the history or the specific methods behind these dishes. Yes, Casu Marzu is maggot cheese, but the people making Casu Marzu are Sardinian sheep farmers whose families have been perfecting it since the fall of Rome.
That's sick.
Curing, drying, and fermenting came from the determination and creativity of early humankind to preserve food and make it last longer. Because we kept dying of food poisoning before that. Carefully and respectfully practicing traditional preservation
down?
techniques that have been passed down from one's ancestors is not the same as putting meat in a jar, and invoking someone else's culture to argue about its safety is insensitive at best. And I'm pretty sure we've all
True.
seen what it is at its worst. After all is said and done, I'm begging you, please do not eat rotten or putrid meat. The overwhelming
We should try it on stream.
scientific consensus is that eating rotten meat is legitimately and terrifyingly bad for you, ranging from basic food poisoning to being left paralyzed or dead. While our gut microbiome does reap benefits from foods high in beneficial bacteria, putrefying bacteria isn't good for us.
I don't like, dude, I can't even look at it.
While
I
it's
can't
like
even look. I'm so triggered by rotten food. I can't even look at it. It's so gross. That was fascinating. Let's play some CS.